Today, TDS added the most game-changing feature in years, known as the skill tree. This allows you to purchase a variety of skills using coins, which give you certain in-game advantages. This could either be something minor, like increasing your base HP, or more powerful ones, like a flat-out DPS boost to all your towers, or a big increase to your placement limit. While this does sound cool, and admittedly it is well made, with the upgrade menu looking great, there are some huge issues with a system like this, which in my opinion, completely goes against the core values of a tower defense game, and no longer qualifies TDS for the strategy genre. Let's start with the most obvious issue of how difficult this thing is to max out. While the skills initially seem cheap, you're able to purchase them multiple times, with each upgrade exponentially increasing in price. It quickly ramps up from 50 coins to thousands of coins. I personally would not have enough to max out a single one of these skills, even if I spent everything I have. Now, I personally have not done the math, as I don't have access to all the upgrades, but apparently it costs roughly 1.6 million coins to max out. You heard me, 1.6 million coins. From a quick search on YouTube, it seems like the fastest method of grinding coins gives you 5,500 coins an hour. Using this, it would take you about 291 hours of non-stop gameplay or 12 days to max out the skill tree. Let's say you play 4 hours of TDS a day, which if you do, please go outside. It would take you about 73 days. This is insane. Previously, the most expensive thing you could get with coins was the golden skins, with each costing 50,000 coins. With 6 skins total, that's 300,000 coins. That was already an outrageous amount of grinding, and now TDS adds this, which completely dwarfs that in comparison. Now, you can argue that TDS doesn't intend for anyone to max this out, and their goal was to add more replayability and something you could endlessly strive for. It makes sense, and it's a good way to keep people playing. I personally believe this is what TDS wants to happen, but that's scummy and impossible to balance. You are essentially forced to divide the player base into two categories: the casual player with hardly any skills unlocked, and the tryhards with every skill unlocked. TDS can't make the game balanced for both sides of the player base if they want the skill tree to be worth grinding for. Either the game becomes far too easy after maxing it out and players get bored and leave, or the game is much too difficult without maxing it out and players are forced to grind for overpriced skills in order to have a chance. If TDS wants to remain a strategic game, which it has already strayed far away from with things like golden and hardcore towers, the skill tree cannot be a fundamental part of the game, and currently it definitely is. Some of these skills are insanely powerful. Certain strategies are going to require you max these out. There's enhanced optics, which gives towers a flat out 10% range boost. There's improved gunpowder, which increases explosion sizes by 20%, making the mortar even more broken. There's some cash boosting ones like stongs, which straight up gives you 10% more cash at the end of each wave, and bigger budget, which gives you 25% more starting cash. That means when playing solo, you get 750 cash, allowing you to get an engineer on the first wave when usually it would be too expensive. This opens up a huge amount of new potential strategies, which again are going to be exclusive to the people who have upgraded the skill tree. And that's not even the worst of it. Personally, I think the most destructive and unbalanced skill is reinforcements, which when maxed out allows you to place 10 extra towers. That means your placement limit in solo increases from 40 to 50. Fortunately, it scales with the amount of players, as in squads your placement limit only increases from 20 to 25, but that's still a huge deal. With 4 players, your max total of towers is increased from 80 to 100. That's a combined extra 20 towers, or basically a 5th player. Now, I know you can't actually place this many accelerators, but just to make an example, if you had 20 accelerators, that's 5,660.4 more DPS, and that's not even considering support towers. There are plenty more skills that make the game much easier, but I think these prove my point. The skill tree is impossible to balance around, as either they have to make it a requirement for the game or make it not worth getting. So it's either too important or redundant. So what can TDS do to make the skill tree work? Well, it's always going to take away from the strategic aspect of TDS, and that is unfortunately something we can't avoid. TDS is steadily moving towards becoming a more grindy game rather than a strategic one, because let's face it, those games make a lot more money. Simulator games like Pet Simulator or Pets Go are the epiphany of grindy games, and let's just say the skill tree is identical to the one in Pets Go, which is a pretty big red flag. But since they're definitely not just going to remove it, I think they should just make it cheaper and nerf some of the skills. While it's going to make the game unbalanced, we can reduce the damage. It isn't all bad either. I think it's a fun concept even if it's not healthy for the game. It may even boost player count, as there will be something for players to strive towards after they got in every tower. But I think they could have done this in a way cooler way. Look at something like BTD6. They have something called the monkey knowledge tree, which is basically the same thing as a skill tree. Instead of all of them just flat out boringly increasing stats, they add new mechanics, like allowing towers to ride inside of your helicopter and shoot at balloons. So I think there was a little bit of lost potential in that aspect. Regardless, I don't have much else to say. There's a lot of people not happy happy with this, and I think that's completely understandable. But the solution is not to harass the developers, as these are hardworking people with actual lives outside of TDS development, and TDS is a big game. Individual developers are not responsible for additions being made, so if you go out and harass developers in the general chat of their Discord, you are cringe. Anyways, that's it for this video. Hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.